he said at the beginning, he's like, oh, I don't know anything about you or, what you're going to talk about. And that's the whole point. And I jokingly said, like, well, I'm a white supremacist and I'm here to spread my message of hate. And then he kept talking. I was like, oh, wait, are we recording? So I don't know if that'll be in there.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, I'll cut it out of this podcast, which is Podrzebie, the comic book nerdcast that dares to ask, what? Me worry? I'm your idiot, Kyle Bridget, and with me, your co-idiot,
Patty McInerney. Hey, all right, so I have this tally list going, and I don't know if I'm miscounting, but it seems lopsided.
Are you writing too much on one side of the page, maybe? Sometimes ink can get a little heavy. As a cartoonist, I have to struggle with that often.
Well, okay, so listen, I made a T-chart, and on one side I have times I was idiot, and then on the other side, times I was co-idiot, and it just seems like I'm co-idiot much more frequently than I'm idiot.
Well, you got to look at the weeks, right? Like, you were co-idiot last time, but then we skipped a week, and so it comes back to me to be
It's
idiot,
semi-weekly.
Exactly,
okay,
yeah.
That makes sense. I'm sorry. I keep bringing this up, man. It's like,
oh, well, I wish you wouldn't. Anyway, we need to get to our first department.
yes, indeed, and that is the letter rip department. That's not what it is. I was just riffing. Yes, we do. It's the Department of Corrections.
We may be idiots, but we're intellectually honest here. And we made some mistakes in the last episode. I mean, really just I made mistakes in the last episode. But so I just want to go over some of the corrections to make. So in the last episode, I was talking about a documentary, Men in Suits, in which I was specifically talking about the section of guys in gorilla suits. I conflated two gorilla men, which, was normally a fun weekend. But since it's on video here, I want to just get the record straight. I thought the guy in the documentary was George Barrows, and that he played Tracy the gorilla in the 1975 show The Ghostbusters. No relationship to the real Ghostbusters. But as it turns out, the guy in the documentary is actually noted Hollywood memorabilia collector and archivist Bob Burns III, who actually was the guy in the gorilla suit on the Ghostbusters show, but he was less prolific in terms of being a television gorilla guy than his gorilla-suited mentor, George Barrows, who did all the TV roles, Addams Family, The Hulk, and things like that I mentioned. So I just wanted to set the record straight on that.
His estate reached out to us, and we apologize for that mix-up.
Also, at the beginning of that episode, I said Murders at Rue Morgue, referencing the film, but the film is actually Murders in the Rue Morgue. And that one, I think, is especially bad because I implicated you in that, because then later you said Murders at Rue Morgue, no doubt based on my mistake.
Oh, no doubt, yes.
There's a couple other little mistakes, like I said Captive Wild Women instead of Captive Wild Woman. But I think the Rue Morgue one was bigger. And then for the mascot red-handed department, I referred to the Sick magazine mascot, the original one, the physician. You might remember him.
Yeah.
I just called him the physician. Apparently, he's actually named Dr. Sickmund. Not that anyone cares. And I also realized that I accidentally said that the talking blob from Cracked first appeared in 1949. And what I meant to say was issue number 149. My Lixdexia must have been acting up. Also, the blob is possibly female, so we may have misgendered them. But the official Cracked wiki uses he, but I'm pretty sure the blob is referred to as she, at least sometimes. And one more, this is not a correction, but when we were talking about Pro Junior, you were talking about how much you liked the name.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, a Pro Junior is a kind of Fender amp, and that's probably where the name came from. I don't know much about music, but I think it's a somewhat iconic model of amp.
Yeah.
And I recognized it when I saw a photo of it, even though I've never owned an amp.
No, what's interesting about that? That gives me more information, but no more understanding.
I'm assuming the guy just took the name Pro Junior.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to let you know that while we were talking about it. And, that's all for the Department of Corrections, to which I say, what? Me sorry?
All right, let's move on then to It's a Rambling Men, the department where we take a few moments, a few minutes, and just share what's on our mind, what's rattling around in these craniums of ours.
Today we're going to be talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a later department. But it got me thinking about the place where I got my first Ninja Turtles toys, which was this weird company that was in Canada. It was in the US too, but not in every state. And it was called Consumers Distributing.
Okay.
It was a strange business model. It was almost like if Amazon was a place that you could go to. And it was a catalog-based department store. And so they would mail you out these catalogs, these consumers distributing catalogs twice a year. And you would go in and it would be a big warehouse, but you would only be able to go in the front area. And they'd have little display cases, but they'd have tables set up with catalogs. And you'd have to fill out a requisition form and bring it up. And if they had it in stock in the back, they would give it to you. And if they didn't, they would order it. And they kind of passed the savings on to you, I guess. And it's an interesting thing because it's a precursor to Walmart and Zellers and all of those sort of department stores, Target, Kmart. Specifically in Canada, it was sort of destroyed, I think, by Zellers and especially Walmart moving into Canada. Because their whole business model was they had really low overhead because people couldn't steal stuff. They didn't need expensive showrooms.
Yeah, it's all where you don't need shelving and any front-facing things, right?
Exactly.
You don't have to hire people to clean it the way you do a department store or organize or stock. It's just there or it isn't.
Yeah, and so at every sort of stage of the direct distribution there is they're saving money. So I only remember going there twice to get Ninja Turtles. But I think my parents got a refrigerator there and stuff like that. They've really kind of, I think, focused on higher end items, but also toys. They must have been an add-on, your dad would go to buy a fridge to save $200 and he'd buy you a Ninja Turtle, which is what happened to me. But I thought it was an interesting thing because it's this business model. It started in 1957. I only remember going to it when I was very young. In 1988 was probably the last time I went to it. And then after that, it's all Zellers and Walmarts and stuff like that I remember.
Yeah.
Which I guess wasn't really as ubiquitous before that.
This whole thing, different ways of departmentalizing or selling stuff, it reminds me of an unusual department store we had in Minneapolis when I was a kid. And I don't know if it was a chain or if it was just one building, but it was just right outside the downtown. And it was called Banks. And you would go in and it was surplus and things that were written off in insurance things. So if there was a fire at a department store and stuff wasn't actually physically burned, but it smelled like smoke, they would buy that stuff. And so you could go and they had a toy department and clothing and furniture and electronics, but none of it was great. It was just so you got what you got. And maybe they had what you need, maybe they didn't.
We had a few of those. We had Giant Tiger. I used to buy slightly irregular socks there. That's what it would say on the tag. Bargain Heralds, that was a local one in my town. I still use that term. To describe something cheap, I call it Bargain Heralds. And Liquidation World, I think, was a fairly recent one that we had.
Yeah.
I used to actually do that when I worked at a military surplus store. Sometimes we would get surplus from all sorts of different non-military sources as well. Anyway, thinking about this catalog-based business got me thinking about when I was even younger, and it must have been the fridge or the stove that my dad bought before he bought me a Ninja Turtle. How weird it was that we didn't go into a catalog place. We didn't go to Home Hardware or anything like that. We went downtown and we went to the appliances store that was owned by the kid of the guy who owned it when my dad was a kid. Yeah. And bought a stove that was made in Canada. It's a total surreal thing to think about now that you would never do. Or very, very rarely would you have an opportunity to do something like that, because I guess Our communities have been gutted. Yeah, it really got me thinking about that and how, like, when I was a kid, you'd walk downtown. It's like, here's the appliances store, here's the furniture store, here's the mattress store, and
Yeah.
everyone was owned by some family. That's all they owned. They weren't like some billionaire family. They were just like a local family that had a
We're the
business.
mattress family. That's what we
Yeah,
do.
exactly. The last time I remember going to one was actually the mattress store. They had moved out of downtown. And I remember when we went in there was this little old man in like a suit who was just kind of like bumming around. And my dad pointed him out. He goes, "That's so and so's dad," like some kid that he knew that like who's I guess runs it now or something. And he was like so old, but he was just like still coming in and just kind of like pretending to work.
Yeah.
That place is gone now. You get your
Dude,
mattresses on Amazon.
I had an experience like that kind of recently, not with department stores or like all of that, but I feel like it's along the same lines, which is I needed a haircut. And so just finding a local barber shop like that isn't a chain is incredibly difficult. And so I found one because the one I went to as a kid like went under, I guess that barber didn't have a son who he could like force into taking it over. So I found this one nearby where I live, and I was talking to the guy cutting my hair. He's like, "Yeah, my dad started this like in 1968, and now it's what I do." And it was like, I thought it was very heartwarming. I was like, "Well, I'm glad that you do this, Spencer."
That is neat. It's kind of like it's kind of a weird thing to be nostalgic about. Normally we're nostalgic here for like magazines we read when we were a kid or something, but it's neat to be nostalgic for like the world that existed before the neoliberal turn, I guess. Anyway, that guy's kid will go get a gender degree and close the business, so it doesn't matter.
It's like, "Daddy, I want to work in HR." All right, welcome to the Cowa-Bunglers department.
I was going to say party on, but that's actually Wayne's World.
Yeah, what did a Ninja Turtle say? Like, "Hey,
They say
have some
cowabunga.
pizza." Oh
Do
yeah,
they have
that's.
other
I
things? I caramba? That's Bart Simpson. I think maybe the Ninja Turtle said it too.
think they would say things like "bossa nova."
So we're talking about Ninja Turtles here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Heroes in a half shell, not weasels in a cream sauce.
Yes.
How do you feel about the Ninja Turtles?
Well, something just occurred to me. Why is it in the cartoon like they're all like California surf lingo, but they were born and raised on the East Coast in New York City,
Yeah, it's
right?
like coded as New York.
Yeah.
Are they all on the cartoon? Are they all surfer dudes? I know Michelangelo, he's a party dude. In the movie, they all had like New York accents, right? Like Raphael he had like a Brooklyn accent or something.
Yeah, maybe it's because they watch too much television as like young
could be.
turtles.
They're
Maybe.
watching The Simpsons, and they're picking up some Bart Simpson. I think they actually predate The Simpsons, so.
Oh yeah, because okay, so we're talking about the cartoon and the toys associated with the cartoon. We're not really dipping our toes into the comic book at all. The Eastman and Laird underground comic that like became a worldwide phenomena.
I never read it. I don't think I've ever read a Ninja Turtles comic, really. I've like flipped through them and seen them, but I've never read one. I didn't know it was a comic when I discovered Ninja Turtles. I discovered them through the toys. I got the toys first and then saw the show
Yeah.
in pretty close succession. Did you read the comics or?
Not as a child. No, not at all. And it was I think as an adult, I found out that it was a comic book before. In fact, I had Ninja Turtle comics, but they were comics based on the cartoons, not like the Eastman and Laird original comic book stuff.
Yeah.
So
the
it's
Teenage
like
Mutant Hero Turtles.
I went like extra backwards into
Okay.
the Ninja Turtles.
I actually thought the show, like I remember thinking later on, like when I was like a teenager before I found out it was a comic, thinking like, what a cynical, exploitative concept. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's like targeted so precisely to attract like young boys and sell them toys. But I guess, that's what they did with it. But I guess that wasn't the original concept, I don't think.
No, the concept that I heard, and I believe this to be true, the whole premise of it was a take on Daredevil, because Daredevil, he's hanging out in the street or something, it gets this chemical this radioactive chemical spills on his eyes. It blinds him, but then it also heightens his other abilities. It gives him this superhuman hearing and other perceptions. And so the Ninja Turtles is the tale of like, well, what happens with all of the runoff from that? Well, it goes down into the sewer and it touches a rat, and then it touches turtles, and then they mutate. And in the Ninja Turtles, it's the Foot Clan, right?
Yeah.
In Daredevil, it's the Hand. And Splinter, a little fragment of wood, is the sort of the master sensei to all the Ninja Turtles. In Daredevil,
The way it's Stick.
Stick. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like there are all of these like little mirrored things all throughout their backstory that kind of nod to Daredevil, which is a pretty cute thing, I think.
And they're
I
probably
find it
really
very
inspired by
charming.
there's like a Frank Miller Daredevil comic that probably came out around then too, eh?
Yeah, I
That
think he was doing that in the 80s.
That was probably made it kind of fresh, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's so much fun. Like when I found out about that, it endeared me to like the comic side of it so much more. Yeah, it's almost like, who is that? What was that novel, 50 Shades of Grey? You know how that was all fan fiction based on Twilight? Like that's what
There
Ninja
you go.
Turtles is.
Well, and Ninja Turtles in many ways spawned the modern furry fandom through the role-playing game of Ninja Turtles, right? Like that was a real like starting point where people were playing the role-playing game and getting to mutate and pick these kind of anthropomorphic animal characters that they could play. And then that was like a huge driver of the sort of like highly sexualized furry fandom we have today.
Dude, and you know what? There's a character on that cartoon show. And do you know what species he is? A duck.
Oh yeah. There you go. We're bringing all the episodes back. So, I mean, I don't care about Ninja Turtles at all. Like, I have appreciation for Eastman and Laird, right? That's their names.
Yes.
Because, you know, they succeeded on their own terms, and, you know, I respect that, you know. But I don't know. It's just a thing I loved when I was a kid, and now, you know, I have like an aesthetic sort of joy that I take in looking at the things and talking about it and remembering it. But, like, I haven't watched really any Ninja Turtles media since basically just around the time the third live action movie came out.
Is that the one where they go back in time to like...
Yes, they go back in time, and it's kind of like all samurai
Feudal
stuff. It's
Japan.
really chintzy. It's really
Yeah.
chintzy. You know, it doesn't look like it was a movie that would be released to theaters, but I believe it was. I never saw it
Yeah.
in theaters, but
Yeah, I guess I'm the same way. There's not like I have a very strong nostalgic connection with it. And when you suggested this as the topic, immediately there were a few figures that popped into my head, and then like core memories that were like activated that hadn't been activated in 2 decades. It was amazing. But the toys, I think it's one of the best series of toys, like over like a 4-year span.
it's
I
insane.
don't know.
There's so many. There's
It's
so
not-
many toys. Oh my god.
There were so many, and I don't know. I remember the quality being like quite high, and all of them were just so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
In my memory, in my recollection, there were no stinkers. They were all like really fucking cool.
Well, I agree, especially from like the perspective of a kid. Before we get to the toys, because that's what we're going to mostly talk about today.
Yeah.
When we decided to do this subject, I was thinking about, you know, the show, which I watched all the time when I was a kid. You know, I got the toys out of the consumer's distributor catalog. I think I actually found the page online right here below Ghostbusters, which was the main thing I was playing with before I switched to Ninja Turtles. It says as seen on TV. I looked it up. I guess they did like a mini series first, which I did not see. I don't know if it aired in Canada, but I remember I got the toys and just seeing the toys and being like, oh, what are these? These are interesting. I want this Splinter, and I'll take this. I think I got Donatello. Then the show started, I think, like a month later or whatever. And I watched the shit out of that show. But I can't remember a single episode at all. I tried. I racked my brain. I couldn't think of a single plot to a single episode other than Baxter Stockman makes Mousers. I think that was one.
That was going to be one of mine. It's like, I remember Krang. I remember the Mousers. And I think I remember the creation of Bebop and Rocksteady.
I remember all the contours of the show, and I remember like all the words to the song I found.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power. They're the world's most fearsome fighting team.
embarrassingly. But yeah, that's it. I can't think of any plots. It must have been like total shit, except for that Baxter Stockman episode.
Well, how old
because
were
it's
you
all
when you saw it?
So the show started in '88. I would have been 5 years old.
I think you can forgive yourself for not remembering. I don't think that.
No, but I
means
mean,
that
it
the show
aired
was
for a number.
spooky.
But there's other things that I can remember a lot of. You know, like, but that particular show, it just kind of like washed over me. But it obviously left an impression because it's like you said, all these memories come back, like the Consumers Distributing catalog. It's like that came rushing back to me, and I can remember being in that store getting those toys. And I remember getting them in Windsor, Ontario, actually visiting my grandparents and playing with them on the pool table that they had. So that was pretty much it. I was really into the show. I played the NES video game, the first one, never beat it. I could get past the water level and then I would have no turtles left.
Dude, all those side-scrolling games, I was just absolute horse shit at. Like, they're impossible. I think I've tried a few, like, to return to them as an adult. It's like, how does anybody play these?
Yeah, there's very few that I've ever actually, like, beaten, that I can look back and say I've beaten this, like, side-scrolling beat-em-up start to finish.
No, no X-Men,
X-Men
The
Mutant
Simpsons.
Apocalypse, I could beat that one.
Oh,
on
braggart.
Super Nintendo. Yeah, well, I do feel proud of that, but that was a hard game. I thought so, anyway. That took years to beat. But, yeah, I don't know. The movie came out. I remember going to see the movie. We actually went. We couldn't get in. It was the first time, like probably one of the only times that's actually happened to me. There was, like, a lineup out the door at the theater. And it was, like, every kid in town and their dad was there to see the movie. I mean, the dads didn't want to see the movie, but they were there to see the movie. Yeah, we couldn't get in. We had to go back the next day. And then it just kind of had diminishing returns over the years. Like, I played with the toys. How did you play with toys? Do you cross the streams? Would you use different types of toys? Like, is it like, we're playing Ninja Turtles, and so this is Donatello, and this is Leonardo, and this is Baxter Stockman, or reenacting the show?
Yeah, I would often, like, if I was going to sit down and play with action figures, as I remember it, the way I enjoyed playing with them, it was like, this is a solitary journey. It was like, I would set the stage, whatever characters I was playing with, like if it were Ninja Turtles, which if I was by myself, fun fact, it was never Ninja Turtles, because I realized the more I thought about it, I don't think I owned any Ninja Turtles action figures. All of my memories about Ninja Turtle action figures are about somebody else's Ninja Turtle toys.
Your older brothers probably, or something.
Yeah, I don't think my parents ever bought me any.
They really started to fizzle out in like the early 90s.
Yeah, that didn't stop them from making more.
You're a little bit younger than me. How much younger than me are you? Like 3 or 4 years or something?
85. I was born in 85.
Okay, so you're like 2 years younger than me. Yeah, so you would have been encountering it probably. I was probably encountering it at the perfect age to be like, yes, I'm being guided into this thing next. You know, I've been through He-Man. I've been through Ghostbusters. I'm ready for these Ninja Turtles.
That series for me was probably Batman the Animated Series. I think that was the cartoon that was just like, I was maybe not age range, but mental capacity range. I was in the sweet spot for that series.
Yeah.
But
no, those, I could name a lot of plots.
Yes. When I would play with toys, though, I would I would prefer to be alone because I wanted to control them, right? It's like...
Okay, but would you stick to one franchise, or would you, like...
Oh, yeah.
Would you combine?
Yeah. I was like,
I had other toys that were very similar, and so I would mix and match because I didn't necessarily follow the story. Often I'd use like that as like a launching point for like a character. But they had these other characters, so like Dick Tracy toys, they were like the exact same size as Ninja Turtles, that sort of 4.5 size. Or for me, I was really into the Toxic Avenger, and they had the show The Toxic Crusaders.
Yes.
It lasted a year. Not good show, but the toys were kind of the same thing. That kind of gross out, kind of exact same size. They were obviously trying to play on Ninja Turtles quite a bit, even though it was a little more satirical.
I don't know who the manufacturer of all these toys was, but it was like...
I think it's Playmates.
WWF, though, they had the same proportions. Like, they had that kind of weird squat, kind of Red Fox bow-legged thing going on with all of their toys. And I think...
Bucky O'Hare, I think.
He-Man kind of had this...
I think He-Man was a little bit bigger, and I think Bucky O'Hare was a little bit smaller. Like, He-Man's probably like a 5-inch action figure, and Bucky O'Hare's probably like a 4-inch action figure. But I didn't really have any Bucky O'Hare, but that kind of smaller size was fine. And like with Ninja Turtles, if you had like some of the like more monstrous ones, It's like they could fit into all kinds of play. Maybe it's like now I'm playing with Spider-Man toys, but
Yeah.
I can bring in Muckman or something,
Yeah.
because he's just like a great monster, and it like his proportions don't like they jive with this character. So that was the main thing. As long as they kind of flowed together for me, it didn't matter.
That makes sense. Like you're an artist, right? So like as long as you can make that link like visually or like thematically, whereas I'm like type A when I'm playing. So it's like, nope, wrong. Sorry, Spidey, fuck off.
And you didn't play action figures with other people either?
No, yes, I would. But like when I was happiest, it would be where I have full control of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can.
That's a good feeling.
It is, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like because I felt like I was telling a real story.
I felt like when I played with other people, except for like people I really jived with, it was like they became almost like another toy. Whereas like I'd be kind of directing the play, and like they would just kind of be like a random element that I could kind of like narrate around,
Dude, it's so funny. Like I watch kids play a lot. Cut that out. I interact with a lot of kids, right? And so it's funny to watch like my own kids. I'll use this as an example where like one of them will be like, okay, no, but now what you say to me is this. And then they're like game, they'll like repeat it back. And they'll be like, okay, but no, now I'm a thing and you're a some other thing. And I'm going to say this to you, but you have to respond the right way. And it's just so funny because it's like, I imagine I did that same thing as a child, but it didn't feel like that. It felt like, no, this is like, we're flowing, man. We're yes-anding.
I bet it feels more like that and looks more like it looks when you watch your kids play, but when you're in it, you feel like you tell them what to say and they say it back to you and you're like, yeah, I said it and they said it back. It was perfect. What a flow. Forgetting the part right before. Anyway, do you have any of these action figures that you particularly remember?
Yeah, the big one that I really like sticks into my brain is I think it was part of the second series. It was Usagi Yojimbo. And that was actually a different franchise. And I don't know how he got looped into the Turtle universe, but he's in there now, even in the comics. But he's like this samurai rabbit. And he came with like two swords, like two samurai swords. And my older brother did this awesome thing where he took masking tape and he wrapped it around the swords like backwards and then again forwards so that it was little scabbards that the swords could slide in and out of. And then he made like masking tape rope and so they were like crisscross behind Usagi's back.
That's cool.
And dude, it was the sickest thing I have ever seen in my life. I was like blown away by it. He let me play with it a little bit too, which is like, that's
that's uncharacteristic older brother behavior there.
Yeah. Like I think he let me like take the sword out and like put it back in. And it was like, all right,
that's cool.
Get out of my room.
A lot of his toys had that too, right? Like I remember, I think the Leonardo toy, you could do that. Like it had like a belt that went on and you could actually put the swords in the back, and that was cool.
Yeah, I don't think they did that for Usagi.
Although I gotta say, like Usagi, who I used to say Usagi, I guess it's Usagi. I don't know.
Well, I've said it both ways so far.
Oh, good. So I'll figure out later, and then I'll edit back in. Here, what we do is we just put our cup over our mouth every time we say it.
I'll say it twice, and then you just edit in Usagi,
Misagi, no Usagi. Anyway, Yojimbo, or is it Yojimbo? Anyway, Usagi Yojimbo, I felt he was slumming it in Ninja Turtles because that's like a much more artful comic, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, like it was. I don't know who started that.
Stan Sakai, is that it?
Yeah, maybe. All I know is that I have that omnibus, like the original series, in my Amazon shopping cart, and I still haven't bought it. But it was obviously much more well done than the original Ninja Turtles comic was.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles like took a while to like become what it is today, and it was obviously influenced by the cartoons and everything. But yeah, they were
Well,
like
Stan Sakai does it a lot. I know. I don't know if he started. I think he did start it. I was under the impression he started. Maybe he didn't. But like he
Okay.
wins like lettering awards like every year. Like, and he lettered on Gru, I believe,
oh, okay.
as well.
Man.
Which, you know, like that bumps him up too. Whereas like Eastman and Laird, like, you know, you got to hand it to him for being like a couple of guys that like made it. But,
Yeah.
you know, you feel like if they didn't get a hit, they probably wouldn't have made it, you know?
No way. But so looking at like Usagi Yojimbo, one of like the sickest things about these toys were all the accessories, dude. Like you look at
Yeah.
the packaging and it's like he comes with 5 different weapons and like a weapons holder. It's unreal, dude. And it was so
Yeah,
exciting.
and some of them would come with little figures too, which was
Yes.
always my favorite. I love those little figures. That's what I loved about Ghostbusters. They all came with one of those. Like they all came with a little ghost.
Oh,
you-
I just clicked
triggering a
another
memory
link.
here.
Oh, dude. So I just clicked on him and the wings, the wings attached onto him, and he had that little belt with all the grenades that were like little eggs.
Later. Maybe we should just move into this. Do you want to open that document I sent you?
Oh yeah, sure. Here, let me go into the database. Maybe I need to download it. Okay. Oh, now it loaded. Okay. Here we go. All right,
Awards,
the
right?
Cowa-Bunglers department. The Golden Turt Awards.
That wasn't finalized. I figured we could talk about that, but I guess now it's etched in stone. Okay, picture. There's some swelling game show music, cheering audience. All right, welcome to the Golden Turd Awards. Our first category. This is. You can read the categories.
The first category is grossest figure.
Yeah, so Ninja Turtles were an extension of like the gross toys movement of the 80s and 90s. You know, Garbage Pail Kids, Mad Balls, Boglins, My Pet Monster. Yeah, Boglins are incredible.
No, my Madball, dude. Madball.
Oh,
was
Mad
my
Balls
jam.
are incredible too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are really kind of gross toys. They're kind of carrying on from that. So I think I've got 6 here for you, and you're going to be the judge. So I picked them. You judge them.
All right. Number 1 is Scumbug. I have a question. Are these all characters? Are these all toys from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
These are all from the toy series. I don't know if they made it onto the show.
Okay. Yeah.
This first one, Scumbug. I don't have his bio, but I know he was an exterminator who got mutated into a cockroach.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of cool. He's got like this sort of like the Fly style thing where he's like half man, half creature.
I feel like the
I mean-
purple hand coming out of the skin, I think is pretty gross. So he's ripping out of his clothes and out of his skin. Like I feel like he's
yeah.
very uncomfortable looking.
Oh yeah, he's like shedding. Oh yeah, that's kind of gross looking. He has this weird, bizarre like ponytail thing at the top. These bulging, bulbous eyes. These yellow, horrible, globular peepers.
And he's wearing a tie.
What the Dude, I've never seen an exterminator in a tie.
Maybe that was from a nicer time, you know, when people used to get dressed up to go to work.
Yeah. You know, when I was a kid, the guy who came to kill cockroaches at my house wore a tie, and he shined his damn shoes.
They probably made the toys and then worked them into the cartoon later.
Yeah, which was very common. I think like He-Man was kind of like that, where they would create the toys and be like,
Here's your next episode.
yeah,
This toy.
yeah, I don't know, fit this dude with gears into this high fantasy story. That's your job, writer, not mine.
I feel like the toys never lined up with the cartoon exactly, and the cartoon didn't line up with the movies, and the comics didn't line up with the cartoon. Like none of it quite is 1-to-1, but I think some
No.
of it's sort of inspired by different things.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I should focus. Rat King, the next one. Rat King is like, I don't know, he looks fairly normal, just like wrapped up in gauze and stuff. He has like a nice little, these cool sculpted rats on his body.
And he's got a big centipede crawling across him.
Oh, yeah,
I just
that's
think he's
kinda
gross in a different kind of way. You know, here I actually took his I have his bio here.
Yeah.
So no one knows for certain where he came from, but one thing is for sure: Rat King revels in scum, and scum revels in him. The creepiest of sewer crawlies nest in his royally rotten rags. The self-proclaimed king of rotocracy, he hypnotizes his rodent subjects with his seductive flute playing.
Ooh,
Even Splinter succumbs to his magical musical powers.
some kind of Willard.
I think actually there is listed stats on the back of his thing. That's his favorite movie.
All right.
Most of these are from or at least half of these are from the 1990 Series 3. Or the
Yeah,
Series
you
3
can
from
tell.
1990. But Rat King, I think he was like Series 2. I think he actually was on the show. But I think they started releasing so many characters, very few of them made it to the show relative to the figures.
Here we have Pizza Face, who's just disgusting. He's like you would. Okay, I'm gonna maybe say some things that are gonna get bleeped. He looks like some just greasy Guido that you would see.
You're never going to let me live that down, eh?
With the bleeping? No, I won't.
Feel free to express any prejudice you have against the Italians. No anti-Italian sentiment will be censored. In fact,
Right,
some
well-
might be added in.
Yeah, you see how you scoff.
So
And
don't worry about it.
This is a classic WAP. Okay,
Well, no, he's French. This guy's French. Look at his mustache.
shut up. He's made
He's a
pizza.
French chef.
Shut up. Read his
You
bio.
get pizza. I didn't bring his bio. I think he is Italian actually, but he's got the curly mustache. You know what's cool about this figure? I had this figure. This was one that sort of stuck around. I put his toys, like his accessories there. See that that hatchet? You could swap that out with his leg. Oh, it was amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's like.
And in my
that's-
mind, there's like a whole bunch of them, but I think it was just the two.
Yeah, but I mean, that is even okay. Third-rate figures are getting some nice attention to detail. Whoever designed these,
Yeah,
did a hell of
Yeah,
a job, dude.
I think they're really fun.
The pizza face, what's most disturbing is the weird pizza cutting wheel that he has to replace his leg.
Yeah, like they talk about his mutation. I was trying to see what his mutation was. They're kind of vague about it. I guess he lost a leg. He has super pizza powers. I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
There was
It's
something
like-
about he had mutation interruptus or something where he was like, I think it was something like he was Shredder's personal pizza chef from Dimension X or whatever, and he was like trying to mutate himself using his like mutation pizza oven, and he got interrupted by the Ninja Turtles, and so it left him like a half a man or something. And now he's out to get them. It was something like that,
Yeah,
but he's pretty gross.
he's gross. Yeah. Then there's Muckman, which Muckman is like, he feels very familiar.
He looks like
almost-
the Toxic Avenger.
It looks like the Toxic Avenger and Swamp Thing, like combined.
Yeah, I had this figure too. A couple cool things about this. He had a garbage can that went on his back and a little figure that went in it named Eyeball. So it's actually like in the list, he's actually Muckman and Eyeball or something like that. And you could put ooze in it, Ninja Turtle ooze, and it would ooze out his belly. And you see that banana peel on the top of his head?
Yeah.
The top of his head comes off. You can put ooze in there. It oozes out of his mouth.
Dude, I knew there was something. When I saw that giant hole in the back, I was like, this thing interacts with ooze. He oozes.
Which is a cool play feature.
All right, next up is Worm. Worm almost looks like he looks like one of those kind of creepy Beetlejuice action figures. Like
Yeah.
the weird mouth things. I don't know. It's like what is that even supposed to be? A worm, presumably.
I read his bio too. He was like a garbage man who like fell into some ooze and like he eats garbage and muck and stuff. And the only person who'll be his friend is Muckman because he's like just too repulsive. He's got like worms for fingers, and I think he's supposed to be like a worm, basically a mutated worm, like a leech. He looks like Simpy Dumpkins or something.
Oh, I hate Simpy Dumpkins.
Well, even Muckman wouldn't like Simpy Dumpkins.
And then we have Burn. Burn just appears to be a man.
He was like the J. Jonah Jameson to April. I just think he's generally a kind of a gross toy. He looks a bit like Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, like his belt isn't fully buckled, and that's kind of gross.
The back of his pants are undone. He's got toilet paper on his shoe. He's eating a sandwich.
And he's just like has his pointer finger out, like he's just got something to say to you.
Yeah.
Oh, and he has a mouthful of food too. Okay,
Yeah, he's eating the sandwich.
this figure is a little grosser than, upon first blush, you might think. I would say the grossest, if I'm to select, I might actually say it's Pizza Face.
All right, Pizza Face gets it.
What do you think?
I don't get a pick. This is you.
Oh,
This
this
is
is
you.
just me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I might say some derogatory things if you pick wrong. But no, you get final say. I did the short list, so
All right.
you pick.
Yeah, I think
That's
I
the
think
grossest.
Pizza Face. There's something about him that's just like very off-putting.
He is a gross toy, but he's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, what's our next category?
This is the racistest figure.
I feel like this is a tradition for like old toys. Is like there's always some like things that have become problematic over the years that were problematic then, but no one thought about it, or they thought it was funny.
Okay, but you start off with an interesting choice, which is Splinter.
Asian rat, man. That's like a trope, you know? That's what R. Crumb did in Fritz the Cat. All the like Asian characters are rats. That's a trope in like other cartoons and stuff. You know, and also he's like the wise kung fu master, which is a trope too. But I think making him a rat, I think there's a racial connection. It's like making like black people crows.
Really? It's like on that level?
I think so, yeah. It's just a little lesser known, but I think that is the trope, is it like, you know, the idea being that there's so many of them. That's what the racist thinks.
Yeah, I know.
Which is like shitty, kind of shitty, but it is a trope. So I wanted to start with Splinter there.
All right. Number 2, Bandito bashing Mike. And so he's like, what is it? What is he dressed as? He's dressed as, there's a special term for these.
Bandolero?
No, it's something else. And it's not gaucho either, because that's like a South American cowboy. But
An amigo.
Do you have anything besides Mexican food?
an amigo, that's just a friend. No, it's
Unless
like
you get 3 of them together, then you got a posse.
it's where the where the hats for the mariachi bands come from. There's
Yeah.
actually like a type of cowboy lifestyle. It's a national sport of Mexico. I actually know a little bit about Mexicans. The charro.
Oh, okay.
It's like this traditional Mexican horseman. And
Yeah,
they're
I know the image. I know
yeah,
the image.
they're
I
they're
just didn't know.
badass cowboys.
We got to be.
And-
That's where all the American villains are rushing to get down there to get away
Yeah.
from the law.
Yeah, and they don't want to run into a charro. So Bandito bashing Mike. The thing with Mexicans is, and I speak for all Mexicans, just so you know,
Obviously.
is that like
That's why I
we
included this, because I thought we could finally get some clarification, you know?
Yeah. Well, all right, because they have like interesting reactions that people might not expect. Like when Warner Brothers stopped airing Speedy Gonzalez, they got a lot of Mexicans were like pissed off because they were like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck?
Yeah, we love that
Speedy.
character."
Like he's the best." Dude." It's like he's fast as hell, man. Like
Yeah. And he is
what's the
awesome.
problem?
Like, he's really fun.
yeah,
He's so fast.
dude, he's like the most overpowered Looney Tunes character.
Well, and he's got a good heart, you know? And that's the thing about him, you know? He
Yeah.
just wants to do right.
So I would be interested to see how some like a Mexican would respond to Bandito.
Well, I'm not
bashing.
saying I'm not making a judgment calls on the racism in these. I'm just saying this one is clearly racist.
I don't think it
whether
is.
that race is upset by that,
All right. Well, that's a dark horse in this running for me
I guess.
for being the most
Okay.
racist. All right.
Okay.
Moving on. Chief Leo. Okay, so this is Leonardo as a wearing some traditional native garments, like an eagle feather headdress and loincloths, some feathers and stuff. I don't
Got some
know.
moccasins. Don't forget the moccasins.
Some moccasins. As an American, I'm feeling uncomfortable. And I think I want to move on.
Imagine how I feel as a Canadian.
Dude, because of you, I found out that you guys were actually the worst between the two of us.
Well, I mean, Trail of Tears is pretty bad. Look, let's be clear. Neither of us have our hands clean, but like, you know, we kept the queen, so you know, we also carry all that baggage where you get a break, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it is an awful, murderous, genocidal history of our people against theirs, and now we've appropriated them through our turtles.
I know you have like this
culture.
compulsion for bringing it up.
I mean, because it's such a big deal here. People can talk about it. It's fucked.
All right, so the next one is Tattoo, and Tattoo is I'm guessing he's like what is it, Southeast Asian, like an islander.
Sumo, I think he's
Oh, okay.
Japanese. That's why he's so
Oh.
yellow. In the toy, that's what they were going for, right? I'm not saying that. Like, how yellow is that toy?
Dude, you might have to scrap this whole thing.
Look, I'm not. I'm talking about the toy. I'm not talking about Japanese people.
Okay. All right. I thought he was like Pacific Islander.
No, and he's not
Hence the
mutated.
name
He's
Tattoo.
just. I don't think he's mutated. I think he's just a guy.
All right. I guess
He had tattoos. This was the key feature about this character. I remember. So he came with a bunch of tattoo stickers you could put all over him, and he had tattoo powers. But I think they were
that's cool.
mystical. I don't know if they were mutated.
All right.
But
yeah.
like, you know, he looks like Charlie Chan or something. You know, like,
Dude, don't make me defend Charlie Chan, okay? Because I will do it. Okay, then moving on, we have Sandstorm, which
what
is
a disappointment that this character is not smoking.
oh man, that would have been sick. It's a camel. It's a mutated camel.
I think this is very late period one. I also included his accessories because he also comes with like a flying carpet and a scimitar and a gun that's shaped like a magic lamp.
Yeah.
He's got a little fez on.
He's got a fez. Well, and hold on. It's a carpet. We don't know that it's magical.
It's explicitly magical on the box.
All right. And then finally, Monty Moose.
Racist against Canadians. We're not all Mounties. We're not all moose. And he came with a beaver.
Oh, that is a little.
Yeah, that's below the belt.
I do have to say, like, that one, a little on the nose, you know? Okay, so I get to pick which is the most racist,
The racistest of them all.
the most racist-ist.
Just racistest. You can't be the most racistest.
Okay, Monty Moose, it's not racist at all. Sandstorm, not racist. I would say Tattoo, I don't know, you said, I think that's just old plastic. I don't think.
I had the toy. It was that yellow.
Okay.
Like, even as a kid, I was like, this is not right. Like, why is this like this?
Okay, like in my mind, to me, it's between Chief Leo and Tattoo. Again, I don't think the Bandito's racist. I think that one's sick, and I think Mexico agrees. Splinter, I don't know. That's all new information to me.
That would be a hot take for sure if you went with Splinter. That would be, people would be mad.
Yeah.
I included it for the sensational factor.
It was sensational. I would say, you know, we're a North American podcast. I think it's Chief Leo. I think that's the worst.
That's a good
one.
choice. Yeah, that one, you wouldn't get away with that today.
You can't cut anything from that, from the racist segment.
I don't think we were particularly racist.
No, I know, but it was also funny.
Ninja Turtles, they're the ones that are racist. Not us. We're pointing it out.
Yeah.
We're woke.
We're shining a light. We're speaking truth to power.
We're finally putting a stop to these awful Ninja Turtles.
All right.
So what's next?
The swimsuit competition.
I only picked 4, but every turtle has at least one swimsuit, if not 2 or 3.
They get so bizarre with their spoofs, or like they're just like special editions.
Especially as it goes on. Like, some of the ones that we'll see as we go on, they're just like, why? Who is this for? And it's like, were
what's the
adults collecting this?
I was going to ask, is the collector's market that strong at that time? I can't imagine
In like
it was.
90, 95 or something? I find it weird that it would be, but maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it was. Maybe it ran alongside comics, so maybe they were cashing in on the comics boom that was going on.
So we have right off the bat Genghis Frog, which is this his like original, or is this a special edition of Genghis Frog? Because you would think with a name like that, you might make him.
He would be in the
more...
racist category. No. This one I actually know something about the episode because I saw a Taco Man video.
Taco Man plays a video game and has fun.
About this particular episode of the Ninja Turtles. Shredder tried to get these 4 frogs or toads to mutate them to fight the Ninja Turtles, but they were just laid back party dudes anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think they made figures of 2 of the characters. There's another one, and the other one's name is Napoleon Bonafrog. So it's like they might have all had like warrior names. I don't know what the other 2
Oh, yeah. Like, so the way that Splinter named them all after Renaissance artists.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Then these are all named after warriors. And the ironic twist is warriors, a name does not make.
Yeah.
Ray Fillet is the next one. I don't know. I kind of like this design. It looks super cool.
I like it, but he doesn't feel like he's like one of the least Ninja Turtles feeling characters.
His face maybe that's what it is.
The sculpt is weird.
Yeah.
And then the big wings, it makes him look more like a He-Man figure or something almost.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any grossness. Like, he doesn't have any, like, chicken fat, really, other than his, like, little... I guess he's got a
Tail.
watch, but he doesn't have any little details. He's very, like, almost like a superhero. Maybe they're
Yeah.
playing an Aquaman costume. I bet that's what they were doing, actually.
Well, they did a bad job. And then there's Mike the Sewer Surfer, which it's odd, right? Because he's always been in the sewers, but now he has some type of like neon wetsuit.
Yeah, but with the Ninja Turtles, it's like, okay, now we're doing astronauts now, so everyone has to be an astronaut. It's like,
Dude, I
okay,
saw
now we're
those.
doing.
Yeah, it was
Or,
like Apollo
now we're
13
gonna-
Turtles. What?
Now we're doing schools, so one of you has to be a principal, one of you has to be a janitor, one of you has to be a schoolgirl.
Oh man! Well, I know what it is. Like there was that. I think maybe it was 90s, but it was 80s for sure. That body glove. Do you remember that? It was like it
No.
would use that sort of color scheme.
Oh, okay. All the
Yeah.
surf stuff was like that kind of color at the time. All that kind of
Yeah.
like neon colors.
And I think that's the name of it.
But look at this character compared to Ray Fillet. It's like he's got a sticker on his chest with like a logo. He's got, I mean, it's from the sewer, so it's probably like dripping shit. He's got crabs. I think
Yeah,
it's
he's
supposed to
got
be
something on
seaweed.
his shoulder.
He's got an octopus on his slipper.
Yeah, he's got that sick waist belt thing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's pretty rad. And then here's the next one, April Ninja Newscaster. That does not look like she fits into the world. I mean, her sculpt generally doesn't because she is like a taller, thinner
A girl.
one. Yeah. And she's not freakish in any way.
This same figure, they also have this is April Ninja Newscaster, but they also have a like prehistoric one where she rides a dinosaur. She comes with a dinosaur, and it's the same figure, but
cavewoman
just
style.
different colors. Yeah, she's wearing like a cheetah, like a yellow bathing suit.
Yeah, this is like pretty lazy. Yeah, it sucks. She has like two things that attach, like one on her arm and one on her shoulder. They were like,
I mean, she might have had accessories. I didn't include those if she
right.
had them. But actually, that series that she came in, I think they released like 3 Aprils altogether. And it was like
Yeah.
one of the last later releases.
All right. Well, okay. Swimsuit competition. This is a slam dunk, dude. Genghis Frog.
Genghis Frog, all right.
Yeah.
Chalk one up for the party dudes. All right, what's the next category?
Ooh, girls, girls, girls.
Man.
It's just girls, one girl. Girls!
I was thinking of that. You could put that song in.
I'll just do it once.
Yeah, that way we won't get a copyright claim.
This is the Girls Award.
Yes. And so we have right off the bat the first 1988 April O'Neil.
What a
right?
jobber.
A jobber. What is that? What's a jobber?
Like in wrestling terms, like just someone who goes out to lose. Like, what a loser.
Oh.
I mean, look, she's wearing the Turtles brand on the back of her news outfit. Like, she's like, yeah, Turtles.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
one of these guys. I'm not your sister's toy.
there was something really weird about April O'Neil generally, like the fact that she wore like a bright yellow jumpsuit. I mean, that's kind of like, I always thought that was a little strange.
Like Bruce Lee.
Yeah, she was very Bruce Lee-esque. I don't know. Yeah, this one sucks, to be honest. The whole sculpt.
There's also another, I think the news van, she's the exact same figure, but wearing a green jumpsuit, if that helps.
Did anybody buy
Anyone
the
buy
April
them?
O'Neil?
So I've talked to some girls over the years who like Ninja Turtles, but then when they would play with their friends who were boys that like Ninja Turtles, it's like they would have to fall into the girl roles.
Yeah.
And so it's like if there was 2 girls, one of them would be April and the other would be Irma.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Dude, that would suck.
Yeah, it sucks. There was no girl characters, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like it could have been like a sexy cat or something, you know?
Well, I mean, the thing is, because most of the kids who would like hector their parents into buying it were boys. So it was like,
It is it's a market driven thing because like the girl figures never sell well, you know?
yeah.
Also, the non-white figures never sell very well either. I recently bought my kid a Ghostbuster at Dollarama,
Yeah.
one of those stores, and it was a Playmobil
Winston?
Ghostbuster. That's
Yeah.
all they had. They had like 50 Winstons. It's like obviously those didn't sell. My kid loves it.
Dude, Winston's the shit, man.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah. Okay, number 2 is another April, the second sculpt in 1992. A better sculpt, a better paint job too. Like her hair is like, whoosh, swishing off to the side. She's got this like a two-tone jumpsuit, got cute little boots and everything. Yeah, an improvement. Number 3, April, Bride of Frankenstein.
This is not one of the ones that came out in 1992. Like I said, the 1992 series, there's like 3 Aprils came out at once. This Bride of Frankenstein is part of one of these novelty turtle lines. I think it's the second Universal Monster line.
Yes, where they also did This Island Earth. They had the
They
character.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Raphael is This Island Earth.
But they just called it the Mutant.
The Mutant,
which
yeah.
I think that's what they referred to him in the movie. Anyway, this one, again, they got really creative with these like specialty ones, and it's like, it's pretty cool. She's got like, it's not just a onesie, it's like, it's also this torn dress, but she has a onesie on under it, or the jumpsuit, whatever you call it, like the, you know, like she's a mechanic.
I mean,
or
it's
something.
interesting. It's creative. I don't know who was buying this, but
It must have been collectors, I guess.
yeah, it just blows my mind. Like nowadays, I could see them doing this. You know,
Dude, NECA makes some. Dude, if we get a sponsorship, I just want NECA to sponsor us and send me their Universal Monsters toys because they're so cool.
can you imagine if we get sponsored by like something that like is really irritating, like fleas or something, and they keep sending us boxes of fleas or something like that? You know, it's like, oh man, we need a
Dude,
better sponsor.
in my brain, I auto-corrected that to fleece, and I was like, yeah, like
No, that'd be
Columbia,
cool.
and we're just getting
I'd take a
some
bunch of-
fleeces.
I take a bunch of fleece. I wouldn't want Columbia because their logo's got a swastika in it, but
On the next episode, most racist logos.
I'd be up there.
Next up, we have Mona Lisa. I don't remember this at all.
This is a very late period character. I thought she was a turtle at first. She's a lizard.
Obviously. The weird thing is like, I guess you have to, if you're going to make a female character, you have to visually code them as feminine,
Yeah.
but it doesn't work. I like with this style, like there is one that kind of works, and so far it's none of the ones we mentioned.
Yeah, and I mean the back of the box, I didn't really read it closely, but I know it's like she likes her hairspray as much as she likes fighting crime. Where it's like you'd think it's like, okay, they're introducing basically a girl turtle, which
Yeah.
like, you know, boys aren't going to buy as much. But I always liked having girl characters because I always had lots of little friends who were girls and they wanted to play girls.
Yeah.
So that's why He-Man was good because he had She-Ra.
Oh yeah. No, dude, I never hung with girls.
Oh, I mostly hung with girls. I was a ladies' man.
No way, dude. Sounds pretty gay.
What are these women doing here? It's not one of those parties, is it?
So next up, this is the one I think that works the best, which is Irma, as far
Yeah.
as like fitting into that world and also being like visually a feminine character.
Because she's kind of dumpy.
And she's yeah, she's kind
I
of
mean, she's
gross.
not. She's beautiful, right? Like she's actually a very pretty character. She's got that kind of a little bit of the Velma, you know, kind of appeal.
Yeah.
But I think she's like coded as irritating, and she's supposed to be like basically a white female Steve Urkel, you know?
Yeah. But she fits into this world a lot better than some of these others, like at least visually, right? April O'Neil, like it's stupid to say she doesn't fit because she's like a central character, but
There's a reason for that. And that's because Irma came out as part of a line of Ninja Turtles toons. So they were characters that were based off of the cartoon and not the toy lines.
oh yes.
They came after the cartoon. And so they did a line of like, that's where Burn comes from. They did all the turtles. I forgot to load up a picture. They look stupid. They've got like big goofy grins and big teeth and eyes.
Yeah.
They're the ones who look like they don't fit. But the other characters, they're a little more pastel in their colors too,
Yeah.
I think. But April came out with that very first set, I believe.
Okay.
And so they probably had some other toy that they were just like, paint this one yellow.
Yeah.
Slap a turtle sticker on it.
Then we have Kala. I don't know. Is that like some type of robot or alien?
Okay, so I think when Ninja Turtles started, there was like a mini series to kind of promote them. And
Yeah.
it was about these time traveling teenagers from Dimension X. And she was one of them. And in the original toy series, they made one of those characters. They didn't make the others. So then in the Toon series, they made all three.
Oh, okay.
But it's hard to, like, I didn't have to slim this down too much. Like, there's not very many girl figures, and out of like hundreds of characters, it's like 1% basically,
Yeah.
maybe like 2% or 3%. Like a very small percentage are girls.
I'm gonna say Irma. Irma wins.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, why didn't they do like a spider? That would be a cool, like a lady spider,
Like Charlotte,
You know?
yeah. Yeah.
like a dark mother character or
Dude,
something.
she'd have
you
a
know?
sack of eggs.
I mean, Ghostbusters had a grandma, you know,
Yeah.
and that was one of the coolest characters. So this next category, this is keeping in the tradition of G.I. Joe's Shipwreck, or He-Man's Prince Adam, or Earring Magic Ken. What's the name of this category?
This is the most unintentionally gay.
Hot stuff coming through.
I almost bought a Shipwreck figure the other day at Target, by the way. And
Oh, yeah?
there wasn't nothing gay about him, man. He was all man. All right. Like,
Well, I mean, he's all man in the bedroom too.
you watch your mouth, dude.
Have you seen? There's a character on Venture Brothers called Shore Leave, who is also all man. Like he kicks ass constantly, but he's like flaming gay.
You should have stayed in the closet.
You should have stayed dead. But if it's cat fight you want, sister, you messed with the wrong pussycat.
Meow.
He's a great character.
I'm like pissed about this right off the bat because of how excited I was.
See now you're being homophobic because like I just think it's funny that they're unintentionally gay.
All right, Ace Duck. That's who you put as number one. These are not in order. I choose which one is gayest. Ace Duck, which Ace Duck rocked. He had the cool wings, the little egg belt. It was sick. He's wearing a leather jacket with no shirt on underneath. You know, he's got his chest feathers billowing out, but I don't know, man. He looks pretty sick to me.
If what he was wearing was all black, he would be like you wouldn't be able to think of anything but a leather daddy, basically. You know, and he's in suede and denim. And he's got like the peak cap.
Dude, he's a pilot. It's his uniform.
Oh yeah, well they go from port to port.
That's not what a pilot does.
Well, they fly places. They go lots of places.
All right. Oh,
They're
geez.
traveling all around. They're blowing dudes. Why do you think there's two of them in there?
Oh, why do they think they call it the cockpit?
They're working the controls. Yeah, exactly. You know, flying a plane, that's the gayest thing you could do, really.
Oh, dude, my buddy, one of my closest friends in the world is a pilot.
Oh, yeah. Well, he'll know. He'll tell you all about it.
I'm going to tell him to listen to this one. Number two is Hotspot.
Okay, so this one, why don't you describe him for a second?
All right,
Describe him first.
he's a butch dog, Dalmatian. Looks like he's into water sports. He's holding a hose and like a weird like battle axe thing.
He's got his own functioning enema machine.
Is that what that is?
That's his play feature, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be a fire hydrant and a hose, but let's be honest. Boy pup, you know? Like he's looking for a daddy.
Yeah, it doesn't look great.
Probably Ace Duck.
Yeah. Oh,
And
hey.
I want to read you. He's got a bone sticking out of his mouth too. That's a little suggestive. Here's the back of his card. Rough. He likes rough trade. Hotspot is not only man's best friend, he's the turtle's canine companion. This likable, lickable lad won't
Ew.
roll over and play dead because he's armed to the teeth. Yes, that bone can break bones if used just right. But that's only a last resort. This piebald pal really likes to get the Foot Clan clean by dousing him with his trusty, rusty, squirtin' fire hydrant. And if it's a 4-alarm foot fight, Hotspot's got his power-packed foot-fighting fire axe, an anti-gagging gas mask.
Shut
so
up.
He can go,
Shut up.
so he can go
Stop.
right into the thick of things. The turtles know that they ever need help with this Dalmatian dude. All they got to do is sound the alarm, and Hotspot will be there ready to roll. On Molly, probably.
You wrote that.
No,
That
that's
was
the back
not-
of the card. That's the back of the card as it was transcribed on the Turtles gallery where I got most of the pictures.
That's
Very gay.
actually that's incredible.
I kind of want one of these figures now. You know, as a marital aid.
That's like, oh my God. That's insane. All right, next. Oh my God. Next up, Cruz and Leo. And, you mentioned a leather daddy earlier. And it's this is it, man. Even his shell is covered in leather. He's wearing chaps and stuff. I'm assuming he came with like a motorcycle or something. Like
He did
that's
actually
what
come with a motorcycle. I had a
Okay.
different Leo on there that looked very similar, but he was
Yeah.
rockin' Leo or something. And then I found cruising Leo, and I was like, okay, that steps it up. It's even gayer.
Yeah. And then we
And
have
he's got some things in his story too that are pretty funny. He's a road Roman rider, a reptile without a cause. Of course, he gets a cause real quick if some foot punk wants to start something. This leather-jacketed joyrider's classic sewer cycle can chop through the slop on any mean street in town, and with Cruisin' Leo behind the bars, the gay bars, you'll know who's boss. A couple of tugs on the spring-retracting pizza pull cord, and you'll hear the power of this machine. I'll stop there, but there's
what
like
about
another
gay?
paragraph.
The gay bar.
I added
comment.
the gay
That was
bar.
editorial.
Yeah, but it says it does say that he's cruising behind the bars of the motorcycle, but
Oh my god.
I'm reading between the lines. It also says he's a pavement pounding prince of power. Get ready for a roaring ride with the coolest driving dude.
Oh my god, dude. Next up is Crazy Cowboy Don. This is just a cowboy figure.
I don't know. He's got his like hanky on. He's got chaps. No shirt under his vest. Here's his story. He's a rowdy rascal who round up them foot doggies and brand them where it counts. Every high noon with Crazy Cowboy Don, his sewer six-shooters happily housed in his half-shell holster, his asshole. I think that's implied. But the drop of the Foot Clan hat, he's ready for a showdown. And when he really puts on a Wild West show that'll make Calamity April swoon for more, yeehaw, look out for the lizard lasso swinging in circles. There's more, but I'll stop there.
Oh my god, dude. And then finally, a beautifully photoshopped image of the Village People with Rocksteady, is it? Or is it Bebop? Ace Duck, and then the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a military man, a soldier, a cowboy, an Indian, and a police officer. No construction worker though.
Well, I put in Rocksteady as a construction worker. There was a construction worker one, but he was like
Yeah.
one of those transformer ones that like it's like a big box that transforms
Yeah.
into like a tractor or something. So I was like, I'll just go with this one. He's got a helmet.
Oh, I'm gonna say it's the dog. It's Hotspot.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Will you just level with me? Like
That's the back of the box. I didn't.
Those things you read, those were like all just.
That's just the back of the box, as it's transcribed on Virtual Ninja Turtle Museum.
Oh my god. Okay.
And then it's like the thing that really like initially made me think like, oh, this is a pretty gay character. It's because he's got like the really low cut like overalls.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. It's like a leotard.
This is the last category.
All right, and that is the least appropriate for children.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
Now, you had some fun with these. You took some artistic
I did,
liberty.
yeah.
All right.
I did.
So,
These aren't necessarily the real names, but I'll tell you what the real names are.
all right. So, we have the Flasher Turtles, which I think it's the turtles when they would go undercover. They would wear like
These are the undercover turtles, but here's the thing. They already have multiple undercover editions, and these ones are made with fabric trench coats so that you can open them up where they are naked underneath.
Are they heroes in a half shell?
That's their body. If you're a turtle, that's your body. It doesn't count as clothes. It's like if you said, I don't have to wear pants because I'm uncircumcised. I have a shell. It's like clothes.
That's so funny. All right. Next up is Dr. L. Now, I don't understand this reference you're making with this title.
That's the name. That's the actual name of the character.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is a very late era figure. I had this figure.
Yeah.
This could have gone in the racistest category. And the back of the box is he's a pygmy.
He's like some voodoo
witch
thing.
doctor.
Like,
that gets like turned into an elephant. But he's got a really graphic sculpt.
Yeah.
Too. Like all the folds in his body fat. And then he's got this loincloth. And you can look up the loincloth. You can see his taint,
Dude, I mean, it's a really cool sculpt.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the Ninja Turtles is like as they went on, I think the sculpts got more elaborate.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where the collector element came from. Maybe people just fixated on that's. I'm going to use that sound. I'll use that sound effect at the end after the music plays instead of a fart.
I was trying to hold in the sneeze. I was trying to like mute the mic at the same time. I failed at both. All right, sorry. And then we have Make My Day Leo, Leonardo as the cop, as the police officer.
So the reason I put this one in here is because not only did they make him a cop, but they also made him like Dirty Harry themed and gave him the Dirty Harry gun.
Wait, was it called Make My Day Leo?
Yeah, that's how the character's marketed. That's the name. Yeah, Make My Day Leo.
Dude, that's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, and the back of the box is like, yeah, he knows how to deal with these punks. He's gonna murder the Foot Clan.
He's got like the revolver and everything.
Yeah.
Amazing. Up next, we have Hooker April.
This is actually April Ravishing Reporter. This is one of the three that came out at the same time.
Yeah, with actual hair.
Yeah, she's got actual hair. This is obviously an attempt to appeal to the girls, but she's all hookered up. You know, she looks like she's undercover as like a ravishing reporter, as like a hooker, basically. She's doing a sting.
Yeah. And then finally, Nazi Bebop.
This is Private Pork Nose Bebop, but he's a Nazi. He's from a military line. They made Rocksteady like a British soldier, like a doughboy or whatever.
Yeah, and he's got like, you look at the little pistol and it looks like a Luger or
that's
whatever.
the thing. Yeah, and he's got a machine gun, so it's like he's not in World War One like that with that machine gun, you know.
And his helmet is absolutely a German helmet too. Hey, you know what though? In a world where Hogan's Heroes existed, I think Nazi Bebop is okay. For this one, I might actually say, oh no, it might be Nazi Bebop.
What were they thinking? Let's make one a Nazi. It's 1996. It's a children's toy. Although it's possible those ones were not really, kids weren't buying those ones as much. Well, but you know what? They had enough sense to not make the two Civil War ones. Neither one is a Confederate soldier.
Yeah, I saw that. They weren't like, they were like, let's go with the Union guys.
Yeah. But they're like, Nazi's fine.
That was fun. That was a fun award ceremony.
And so I just have one more question for you. What kind of mutant would you be?
Ooh, what kind of mutant would I be? Oh, like with what animal or insect would I mutate with?
Yeah. Or like pizza or muck.
Oh, dude. I think like I would be a tortoise. And so I would have like a more bulbous shell and my neck would go out like super long.
There you go.
That's what I would do. How about you? What would you mutate as?
Well, everything's taken. Like there's hardly any animals left. So I guess I'd go with a sloth.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
That could be really chill.
Which part of your body would be sloth?
All over, baby. I take my time.
Hey, and welcome to the letter rip department.
Yeah, that's right. This is where we answer letters from idiots and also just letters. And you can send us a letter at podrzebiepodcast@gmail.com, subject line idiot mail. And please refer to us as idiots, or you idiots, or you are a bunch of idiots. And we'll read it on the air.
Yes. And hey, we have some. And listen, the people who wrote in have done a very good job of titling it Idiot Mail.
Oh, thank you.
And we have 3 letters this week. Unprecedented.
Okay, all right. Well, I haven't read them. Let's see what you got.
Okay, this first letter, it says, Dear vile and irritating idiots, I'm enjoying your show, though I can't say why. I know nothing about comics or mad, but I do like art and nerds who know stuff about art. I doubt your podcast will last long, but I'll keep listening until you're either canceled or you get tired of yapping into the void. Listen, after the racism episode.
Oh yeah, I was thinking like canceled, like it's not like this isn't a network show, but then I realized like, oh, you meant from like Polite Society.
I'm halfway there.
Listen, we took a break and we discussed it. It's Ninja Turtles that's racist, not us.
Exactly. And I think, history will look favorably upon us.
I think so, yeah. history will look down upon the Italians, so don't worry.
Ah, now that's a sensitivity. Right, Giuseppe? Giuseppe is such a happy monkey.
Am I owed a touch? No, it's the Italians that are the problem. Here's my dumb question. What are your thoughts on graphic novels? Any favorites? Any complaints? Comics versus graphic novels. Thanks for wasting my time. Sincerely, Anonymous American Hottie.
I mean, normally we do a department called Tips for Twits,
Yeah.
where I might have recommended a graphic novel, but we were kind of running long in the show, so we kind of skipped that department. So I really don't have any recommendations for you, I guess, to that end. But thank you for the encouragement.
Well, there was a part of this that we can answer. Comics versus graphic novels.
Oh,
To
yeah.
me-
I have a lot to say about that, actually.
Yeah, because there's two things. Like graphic novels, in my mind, and I don't know that there's any like wholesale agreement or like worldwide agreement. Consensus, I guess, is the word I was actually trying to find. A graphic novel is something that is made, produced to be a complete story, and a comic is serialized. So a serialized story that gets collected, to me, that's not a graphic novel. That's
Trade
a comic.
paperback is usually
Yeah.
the term for that.
Yeah.
But the thing about the term graphic novel is it's elastic, right? And so it gets used as a marketing tool to refer to all comics that aren't newspaper comics, basically. So I feel like that's what it means in like this sort of broader culture, is like graphic novel is just comics that are not peanuts, basically. But I think at its root, the idea of the graphic novel, as it was sort of popularized by Will Eisner, and he called comics sequential art. So his idea was that sequential art would evolve into graphic novels, which it has, and that's kind of one of the more dominant, especially in alternative comics. That's how they're like mostly marketed, you know, more than like floppies. It's like that's really just kind of a like a collector market, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like I could see I wasn't aware that Eisner is the one that coined the term, and I think that there are examples of things that are graphic novels in that sense, like are very high artistic endeavors. But then you have things like, and this goes more to like marketing, you know, that the elasticity of that term and how it's just applied to everything. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
the Babysitter Club graphic novel adaptation is not a graphic novel. That's
I mean, it could be. I think to
it's
me,
Archie.
graphic novel
It's
really
like-
should refer to length more than anything. Like if
Not
you're not
girth.
using it in terms of marketing, well, if it's really long, they get pretty girthy. In terms of like scale, so it's like I use a term like a graphic short story. If you have like a self-contained like comic story, whereas like you might have a shorter graphic novel, and that would be a graphic novella, you know.
Yeah.
Or you could have a graphic novel where like it's like a longer story. I would say like a trade paperback, like something can be a trade paperback and a graphic novel, I think. So like Watchmen is a graphic novel, you know, but it was also like released as comics, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, I would say that that's a great example for something that's like elevates the whatchamacallit, like the art form. But
Yeah.
I think like the problem with comics and comic art is that because it's been looked down upon for so long,
Yeah.
you know, like people get hung up on these terms, whereas like, you know, in the normal like world of literature, you know, you go to the grocery store and you can get those like romance novels, right? It's like they call
Yeah.
them novels. It's like that's a novel. I read a novel. Like
Well, the
nobody
novel
worried.
originally was looked down upon as like as a form, right? It was looked down upon as like women's reading and like, you know, kind of
Yeah.
like trite and trashy.
But my point being though is that like they don't worry about like what garbage is being associated as a novel.
Yeah, they don't
versus-
have all that baggage has been settled, you know.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and people just kind of recognize that like people don't use the term pulp as much anymore or something like that.
Yeah.
But I prefer the term comics to graphic novel generally, but I don't really care. I used to be more hung up on it, but if I'm talking about the art form, I'm talking about comics. You know,
Yeah.
comics, I think, because if something is a graphic novel, it's still comics. So I don't really care what people use for it, but that's how I would use it normally.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for writing in. Next up, we have Dear Idiots. This seems unfair, addressing you guys as idiots, given the fun-loving, cerebral nature of your conversations. However, I now understand why you haven't gotten any letters. It's because some idiot came up with that awful email address. Too many syllables, too hard to spell. It took me forever typing this thing out. Here are some earlier mistakes I made, which resulted in my messages getting bounced back. portapottypodcast@gmail.com. Paul Peter Porges podcast@gmail.com. Sherman T. Potter podcast@mash.com. And worst of all, podrzebiepodcast@gmail.com. Anyway, my suggestion to you when it comes to creating all future email addresses is that perhaps you should lay off Yiddish. Sincerely, David Schmuck Strickler, a.k.a. Clown Nookie.
Well, first of all, it's Polish. And second of all, it's not that. Because
that's the response of a defensive man. First off, let me pick out the one wrong point you have.
But yeah, it's Podrzebie, which is Polish, I believe. But ours is not that. Ours is Podrzebie. We got a D in there. So I wish we could have had Podrzebie. Somehow that email was taken.
Yeah, we took an obscure word that's difficult to spell and made it more obscure and difficult to spell.
Well, I'm hoping that it's going to become such a household name that it won't feel that way anymore.
Almost certainly it will.
Yeah. We're halfway there already.
Yeah. But we'll take your advice under advisement.
No, we won't.
Next up, this is a long one. This is like a narrative. So, ahoy, idiots.
Okay, that's pretty good.
The year was 1986. I was 11 years old. While visiting a cousin, I see a few Mad magazines stacked in a pile in his room. I didn't read them at the time, but I kept thinking about that weird kid with the missing tooth on the cover. I convinced my mom to buy me issue number 261. I remember reading it in bed that night. I was hooked right away. It felt like something that I wasn't supposed to have. I read it from front to back. I even attempted to read the lighter side of. I was so taken by my new favorite thing that I took it to school the next day. This school, by the way, was a Catholic school, and my teacher was a nun. Mad is way more interesting than math, so I hatched a brilliant plan. I'll put it under my math book, slide it down, and read it while I feign interest in math problems. It worked for about 10 minutes before Sister Frances caught me. "Bring that comic book up here right now," she scorned. I stand up, Mad in hand, and slowly walk up and drop it on her desk. My heart sank. I wasn't so scared or embarrassed of being caught. I was just worried about what was going to happen to my Mad magazine. After the class ended, I asked the teacher if I could have it back. "You can have it back at the end of the school day," she said. I was anxiously thinking about it all day. The end of the school day finally gets here, and I head back into my homeroom class. Sister Frances is nowhere to be seen. Great! I'll just grab it and run out of here. But where is it? My eyes darted all around her desk. The Mad magazine is nowhere to be seen. I look in the trash bin, and there it was, all ripped up and torn to shreds. That's when I came to the stark realization that I want to be a nun too. No. That wouldn't come till years later. What I did realize that day is just because someone is an adult doesn't mean they can't be stupid and wrong. It's a priceless lesson to learn when you're an 11-year-old boy in a Catholic school. I'm pretty sure it was the new improved Mad Pooper Scooper on the back cover that sent old Sister Frances into a rip and tear frenzied state. So I have to thank Al Jaffe for helping me learn this golden lesson. Finnegan Maximilian.
Well, the first thing I would have said to the nun when she asked for my comic book is like, first of all, it's a magazine.
Second off, it's a graphic novel.
Ooh, that would have got me really mad. She'd say, bring that graphic novel up here. What issue was that? Number 261?
261, yeah. I got to pull that up.
Oh, it's a Will Elder cover. Will Elder, Harvey Kurtzman. That's like a narrow window when you get them in the in the 80s.
Oh, I had a feeling it was this one. Yeah, with Tubbs and what's his face? The Miami Vice guys.
I don't know the Miami Vice guys so well, but you know, you understand the thing. They're like sweating him,
Yeah,
and he's tanning. Alfred's tanning.
dude.
Oh man, I always love looking at Will Elder's art. What a beauty! Wow, yeah. I mean, that story started out a lot like my story with Mad, which I've told on here. You know, where it's like, you encounter it at this young age, and it's like it feels so like foreign and adult, you know. And
Yeah.
then you find out like I can have this, and it kind of like changes your world. And you know, if you want to learn out about how adults are stupid, you know, Mad magazine is like the best place to go. You know, and you know, I feel bad for all the kids now because they're never going to figure it out. You know, because they're not going to have Mad telling them. The good thing, I think adults are smart.
Yeah. Not my kids.
Well, because they got mad. It's the vaccine, basically.
You know, it's like, I think I've talked about it on several of the topics we've chatted about on this podcast, but that like feeling like I shouldn't have something, or that something feels dangerous a little bit for me to be seeing. And I think it's important for kids to have that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it will be for kids. Like, it probably isn't Mad for my kids, because it's like I'm giving my daughters like certain books. I curate it a little bit, but they're going to have those things. And hopefully it's like formative in a positive way, the way like, you know, John Waters and Mad Magazine were.
Well, you know, Mad Magazine definitely is, I think, a very good thing for young people to be reading. But I mean, but nowadays it's not speaking to the world that they're living in, right? It's becoming increasingly less relevant. Whereas like I had a new student just the other day, and it's like he had never heard of Mad Magazine. Obviously he's like 13 years old, never heard of Mad Magazine, never read a magazine. And he's like, oh, is that because there's phones now? Like, well, partially.
Oh my goodness. Those are 3 really good letters that we got.
So I look forward to more letters. This has been great.
Hop on the train. We're going to the begging and groveling department.
You choose me?
That's right. This is where we kind of just put ourselves out there, you know? We sort of shake our money makers and
Like 2 little Hook and Aprils. We walk down the street.
we're like, we're cruising Leo, going to the bars. Yeah, we're looking for your likes and your subscriptions. We're looking for you to rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Give us 5. I don't know what they use now. Bones.
Chicken
or something.
fat.
Chicken fat. Yeah, whatever it is, give us the maximum. That really helps, I guess. If you're looking for a couple idiots or just one idiot to come on your podcast, and you've got like a lot of listeners, probably won't have to pay us very much. No, seriously, but tell your friends and do all the stuff.
Hey, what if they want more of you and less of me, Kyle?
Well, you can find me at my website at kylebridget.com. That's where you can hire me to draw some cartoons for you or teach you about cartoons. I also have a YouTube channel where I do a show called Canonically Crumb, where I explore the comics and characters of R. Crumb's Crummyverse. And hey, check out my TeePublic store, which you can find from my website, where I have all kinds of shirts and mugs and whatever else you can get on TeePublic. So check it out.
Nice. Hey, if you want to check me out, flippingthrough.com. Just go there. You can get links to my YouTube channel, Instagram. I don't know. Nothing really happens there. My Etsy store, that's up and running. But the bread and butter is youtube.com/@flippinthrough. I do a weekly review of a Mad magazine, and I live stream every other week. So please come and check that out. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we'll be back in a couple weeks with more Podrzebie.
And you guys, truly, thank you so much for listening.
By the way, Ed, how's your mom? I just think it's like just a fact, right?
Yeah. Why do you have to bring numbers into it all the time? All right.
Well, I actually didn't bring numbers. I just brought like amounts that are bigger than other amounts. Not I didn't bring any specific numbers. I can if you want. Let's see. You have this many followers.
All right, his show's bigger than mine. I got it.